stop chatting on and move on to the next match of the day. And it is a spicy one. It is going to be Pathra versus blitzchung. And if you've been following Grandmasters, you'll know that these two players have, I think for pretty much the whole season, been at the bottom slots. Maybe you sort of rotate in between bottom and second to last. And the person who finishes last, basically by the end of next week, does get relegated out of Grandmasters. They can re-qualify in different ways, but they qualify the same as everyone else after that. So this is effectively a fight for relegation against with the two players that are at the bottom right now. So I imagine a ton of pressure for both these players. Both these players do respect each other a lot. They know, as you were mentioning, they know how it feels to be in that spot. And I think overall, I would say you've just had some of the rougher ends of the stick when it's come into some of the outcomes in their previous matches as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think both of these players, someone's got to end up at the bottom. I was going to say, I don't feel like either of the two players has played in a way that deserves being at the bottom. I don't think I could say that of any of the players in Division B. I think they've all been playing some pretty strong Hearthstone. But, you know, to be fair, Pathra and blitzchung, there have been some mistakes along the way in terms of their play. It's, you know, I don't want to gloss over it. It's just, for the most part, I think that their play and decision-making and deck building in particular has been strong enough, and their record overall in terms of win-loss, I think, is slightly harsher than it deserves to be, even if their position at bottom is not necessarily harsher than it deserves
that often,
to be.
we're just waiting for Patrick to get ready, by the way. We're not just talking before chat. Resident Sleeper, Talkstone.
I've had enough
of
that.
The players are coming. We're done. All right. But I will just say as well, I think I really enjoyed Fino's interview. Was it last week or the week before now? I can't remember. And he said that he got asked, how does it feel being last in his group, considering he's already qualified to the global finals, going from top dog to literally bottom feels bad. But something he said was like, yes, he doesn't feel good about being at the bottom of the group. Who would? It doesn't make sense. But the way he sees it is he's in a very hard group of some top-level Hearthstone players. If he played an 8-man tournament and got knocked out in 8th place, well, all your opponents are hard, right? That, it's not going to be easy. So I think it's just a reminder that both of the divisions in every region are stacked, whichever way you look at it. And as you said, someone has to come 8th. So it means that, yes, if someone just performs slightly worse, they're probably going to lose and drop down to that last spot. But the tournament's pretty stacked in itself. It's literally picked from some of the best players around the world. So, as you said, someone's going to be last.
That's right. And especially as, it's not only a sad thing to see players relegated out. Obviously, it opens up a spot which allows more players to go through. We just saw the official publication from Blizzard as to which players are in the lead with who can qualify back into the Grandmasters after players are relegated. And of course, we have Bucharest coming up in a couple of weeks' time, which will massively shake things up. But at the moment, I believe with it being Possessi and Suni in first and second place in Asia Pacific, those are two players that I would be very, very happy to see qualifying through to the Asia Pacific region. Just get a little bit of new blood in the scene and
I can't wait.
Some innovative play.
Yeah, I can't wait to see some new players as well, because for me, I think it's just going to be that post really made me laugh. Actually, I was so close because they made it very easy to just laugh at Americas. Did you see the monetary value?
Yes,
but that's because of the dog and gallon thing. But it just looked funny that EU tons of money,
right?
APAC tons of money, NA 20 quid, and then it's just like it is so great. It looked so funny, but that's like. People are just going to tweet back, well, Doug won this. I'm like, oh, well, fine. Stop ruining my fun to laugh at America's region.
Qualified through with 20 quid and a packet of crisps.
Yeah, well, that's weird for America's region since they don't have crisps, really, and also quid. But anyway, let's take a look at, while we're waiting to go into game one, let's take a look at the decks they have access to. Pathra again, I think a nice phrase from Frosty, one I didn't really know was used much in card game scenes, but is used in WoW, is a cookie cutter style lineup of the combo priest, quest druid, and then the Highlander hunter. Might look a little bit weird, but it's cookie cutter for Asia Pacific at least. Although I do love the Bloodstinger in the deck. I think the card is so sick, and it continues to boggle my mind why more people don't run it. But also as well, if you just look at the key cards there, Spellbreaker, we've seen the potential power of that card if used right. But then Subject 9, I feel like, is actually the card that pulls the deck together.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in some of these slower, controllier matchups, like against, of course, Warrior. It really does just make the deck tick. It's interesting to see Pathra, however, switching over at all to Highlander Hunter, when last week I believe she had the exact same lineup, but with Warrior instead of the Hunter. I hope we're able to ask her if she's able to win in the interview as to what her reasoning was behind that. I guess maybe expecting a somewhat less aggressive lineup. But, you know, as Frosty was saying, whenever you substitute a deck in, you have to think, what is this doing instead of the alternative? What does this do better? What does this do worse? And I'm trying to think what Hunter does better than Warrior in Patra's lineup. Maybe trying to target Druid a little bit more? Or maybe she thinks it's better against Priest than Warrior is. Or maybe she's just afraid of counters to Warrior coming through. It's also about what the deck is weak against that you have to consider.
That's true. And we've seen Warrior do really well. There's blitzchung's lineup as well. Again, just, you know, fairly standard, just in the form of the Quest Druid, the Control Warrior, and the Priest. But I believe we are ready to get into game number 1. Again, apologize about the slight delay. We've had a crazy day today. We've had all sorts go on. And there's still this match and one more left. There's tons. There we go. So we can see the Shaman being banned out, Priest being shielded across the board.
There you go.
So definitely the European and America's approach to Hearthstone right now is that
we're catching on.
And then the Warlock banned out from blitzchung, which means Patra's got Priest, Druid, Hunter against blitzchung's Druid, Priest, Warrior. So now you also start to see the outcome of this, right? Where there is Warrior to play against, but Patra has Hunter to play against it. Whereas if she took Warrior, it would just be mirrors. So maybe Hunter, or the approach of bringing Hunter, is just the thing that breaks the tie, I guess, and maybe breaks it in your favor if you never plan on banning it anyway.
And looking at the way it shapes up now for Patra, I think it's fair to assume that either the Druid is the weak spot that she'll try and target, or at the very least blitzchung is disincentivized from playing it at all, because of course you only have to win with 2 of the 3 decks, which if we do look at it in that fashion, it does leave the Warrior and the Priest. But at the same time for blitzchung, his Warrior is also quite weak against what Patra has. Against the Druid, I'd say that's a slightly unfavorable matchup, especially as he's only running the single Plague of Wrath version. It's a little bit less defensive in terms of the removal. The Hunter, I think, could also struggle against there. We've seen the Hunter able to take the Warrior. So overall, I think I would put Patra slightly in the lead, just because with her choice of leaving out Warrior, I was trying to figure out what it does that puts her in the lead, and it seems like it gives her a double-pronged attack, hopefully, on Druid and Warrior.
And I think that the way that this format, you want it to shake out, is you effectively end up with 2 bans, right? You hard ban a class, and then you make one of their other decks not really playable, which means that it just gives your opponents less flexibility and less choice. And if then you kind of do get that double ban effect, then, well, you know what they're going to queue, right? There's 2 decks they have to win with. That's it. Because if they take their 3rd deck that's available to them and it's bad versus all of your decks, then that's also a win for you. So you kind of just favored anyway. And I feel like overall, that should be the goal. Instead of trying to lock out one thing, you actually try and say, what does if the average ban happens of your own deck, does your lineup kind of just dumpster on one of their classes that is playable? If that's the case, you're looking pretty good. And I feel like that's what Patra's achieved.
I think so too. Obviously, mind games do sort of start to come into effect a little bit, because if they assume you're not going to play one of your decks and therefore cue the deck that's weak against that deck, you can switch over to it, which we may see for blitzchung.
Brave, that though.
It's very brave. We have seen it, and it could work out. And for for blitzchung, when he is, I would argue, slightly behind, although it's very, very close in the matchup, maybe we'll see him going for a little bit of mind game switching up like that. But for the most part, as we're waiting for these players again to get ready, I do expect to see a lot of the standard stuff from
they're just
these
messing
guys.
with us at this point. Don't know what's going on, guys. I will say it's a bit of a surprise as well. Blitzchung going for Warlock and not Hunter. Blitzchung historically, along with Staz, has been a pretty consistent Hunter player throughout the Specialist Grandmaster Season 1, as well as most of this season, as far as I can recall off the top of my head anyway. So Blitzchung just not going with Hunter, going for Zoo instead. And it's also just a Zoo build that, personally, it's got Serpent Eggs, so I'm not too upset.
I think it's fine.
But then it's just like the 1 Sea Giant versus 2. I think it's okay.
This is like the most standard
it's like
Zoo
standard,
list. It's just Zoo.
I'm just looking at the Abusive Sergeant and think, could that just be a 2nd Sea Giant? Seems
Maybe.
Good.
Yeah. But either way, it is banned away for blitzchung, so he's going to have to be relying on, again, his Priest, his Warrior, and his Druid, as we are jumping into the game. And he is going to be relying, first of all, on his
actual game of Hearthstone. Okay, let's go.
Hog champion.
Yeah. Patra on the top, on the Hunter. Blitzchung on the bottom, on the Warrior. And as you can see in the scores, 2 and 8 for Patra, currently sitting bottom of the division, and then only 3 and 7 for Blitzchung. So, if Patra wins, they're even again. If Blitzchung wins, well, Pathra needs to do something, because then she will be 2 wins behind the not just in general, but 2 wins behind the person above her.
Right.
So that's like it needs to be insane. There's only 3 more games left,
exactly.
or 3 more matches left.
She would have to win all 3.
Yeah, to get ahead.
Lose all 3. Yeah.
Right. And this is the issue. Whenever you're in a tournament setting like this, or a league setting, leaving your tournament life to things outside of your control, i.e. blitzchung has to lose his other matches, is a horrible experience, because there's nothing you can do about it. There's literally nothing you can do. You've got to watch the games play out and hope that the scores go your way. Whereas at least if you have to win games, then you can at least play the game yourself.
Yeah, especially as I'm trying to remember how they matched up last time they played against each other. I think blitzchung took the win over Pathra in that game. But I'll just get the standings up in a minute, because obviously the first tiebreaker that players go for is head-to-head, and if one player has beaten the other player 2 times, and that
Pathra won.
Maybe she did. I'll look at it.
Okay, well, we'll just pick
that
one.
makes a big deal.
Yeah, it does make a big deal. Pathra now just going for the hyena, though. Could it be, I'd say, kind of answered and kind of not now. It's blitzchung half answered it with the taunt, but there is just Desert Spear now, which looks pretty okay to me.
You were correct. Pathra beat blitzchung.
God, that's good.
You are very good.
They don't just hire me for my face.
I won.
I don't even think they do that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's in spite of, actually.
Oof. Jeez. All right.
We've been getting way too friendly, mate. I've got to be honest here.
Right.
I've been having too much fun with you. I had to put up the emotional barrier between us yet again by ruthlessly insulting you.
Welcome to most of my life, putting emotional barriers up.
Rule Britannia.
Okay, so the hyena now, does it go into the 1-2? Does it go face? I like face. Just put it to get that 4 damage.
Oh, yeah.
Done. And now the question really is on blitzchung. Like, there's not often a good answer. I guess like Coin Mummy is the best, but we conceded. He didn't get it.
He does have
Ziliax.
a couple of answers here.
Yeah, answers exist.
Yeah. I don't think he should probably go for them. Like, not developing Snip Snap sucks, but it's just a recipe for disaster, right, if you leave it up.
The answer that wins is Hero Power Shield Slam, right?
Yes. Yeah. Like, okay, sorry. It's not necessarily a necessity to go Hero Power Shield Slam, because Snip Snap very likely leaves a mech in play, which of course means Ziliax can magnetize on with a coin next turn, which likely takes out the hyena. So I don't hate that play, actually.
I dislike it.
Okay.
If Freezer Trap comes down, you might just lose the game.
Very good point.
And that's really scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I like this. And this is the strength. You know, I harped on about Spear last week. It's the strength, right? If it wasn't removed also, the Spear cleans up the 1-2 and buffs the hyena more.
True.
And then also Freezing Trap. Yes, Pathra has it, but even forget we can even see that. If you sat in blitzchung's seat, you go, how does this go terribly wrong for me?
Yeah.
It would be a Freezing Trap, and it would go very, very wrong.
Also, if blitzchung doesn't develop anything, we're looking at swing with the spear, bait an arrow on your own 1-1. Insane.
I told you, the Spear's just sick. It does everything you want it to do in one card. Ooh, that's also sick.
Now we're talking. I think it was probably leading up to a Warpath instead of a Ziliax, if the Dynamatic had not been drawn, but this is pretty easy now.
Still, Spear to bait an arrow still gets a 5-5.
Very nice, yeah. I'll take that every day. Ooh.
Look at what this Spear has done in this game. It's so sick.
It is seriously good. This makes sense to me. Sets up for potentially Ziliax next turn if it's necessary, or I think more likely Omega Dillo then buff Ziliax on turn 7.
Yeah, he's okay.
It's not great.
It feels weak.
It's not.
Yeah, it's a weak turn. It's not a strong turn whatsoever because you're just facing down a 5-5.
Yeah.
But it's okay. It's fine. Ooh. That just
Does that
looks
change
like
things
more
up?
damage to face.
Do you just do that and then hero power?
I think you freezing trap, right?
Sure. Okay, yeah.
Because nothing's good then, right?
Yeah.
Because either you think, oh, well, you can just proc it and play Ziliax. Great. Ziliax into a 7/7. Enjoy. I think this turn is sick. And it doesn't overly go into Brawl either, because if it's Brawl pre-freezing trap, well, the freezing trap sticks. And if it's post-freezing trap, well, you're not going to brawl. Like, Blitzchung's not going to brawl 2 minions. And even if you lose the brawl, you have a 4/3. I like this.
I like it too. I'm still toying with the idea of hero power was better there, but I guess with like Restless Mummy as well, you don't have to be able to clear off the 7/7, and like you said, the Ziliax. So I'm on.
Yeah, I feel like freezing trap does tons of stuff.
Yeah. Like even if this was just any secret, it means that Blitzchung basically can't magnetize on Ziliax and attack because of how bad freezing.
But then also has to think about snipe. This is a bad plane to snipe, right? If he goes for removal, then his minion dies anyway. You know, there's just so many good things about playing secret that turn.
Zul'jin's not going to do anything. Patra's just going to kill him.
God, why do we even play Zul'jin if we don't get to turn 10?
I'm taking out Zul'jin and putting in Lepanome. Honestly, would help my win rate in some of the matchups.
What now?
Here's a question. If one of the cards they put in that they're coming in soon, they've announced, was pre-nerf Lepanome, would you play it?
Are you kidding? I play them like every day.
Every deck. You're playing Priest. Yeah, it means you need less health to kill them.
Yeah, exactly. Right, you go the Lepanome on 1, trade in Light Warden, coin heal their face next turn.
Oh, genius. The plays. Wait a minute. Slightly awkward turn here for Pathra. I think everything just doesn't quite do. You go a little bit too wide. You go use a little bit too much removal. I honestly wonder if it's ever just like so. It's going to 7. The problem is she's going to a removal turn because after seeing our Megadillo, your imminent fear is Tomb Warden. Well, Tomb Warden isn't coming down next turn, so Blitzchung has some breathing room to use some removal. So the option Pathra went for here is fine, but I did wonder whether ever Unleash the Beast and trade the 4/3 and just have a straight 7/7 was ever better.
Perhaps. Because now this is a complete wipe.
I think Blitzchung tries to attack as well. You really want to find out what that trap is.
So he plays this, he finds out that it's not pressure plate, and he would be fine with it being pressure plate here.
Yep. I think he's fine with it being anything almost at all. I think he just needs to know what it is as opposed to whatever it is being a problem. He just needs to know.
Exactly.
Because right now, he isn't proccing a rat trap for about 20 years. So he's fine with that. He didn't attack, though.
I think this is good because then if it's freeze and trap, he's got the 2/1
It's
so
still
you can
a
attack him
benefit,
with one of them. Oh! Well, it's a good draw for Pathra.
8. Oh, it's going to be so close, but so far.
It's going to be very close.
Wait,
but very far.
So Blitzchung has to play Ziliax, so he's dead next turn.
Yeah. That's fine. I think he's happy. He's got to be careful about freezing trap, of course. He is. Good job, buddy.
Deadly shot, a tiny bit scary too.
That's true.
I'm being serious, right?
Yeah,
like,
very scary.
Because it's one minion.
Oh. The hero power shield slam though does just make this so good. Even if the deadly shot's there, he's okay.
And now Blitzchung dropped very low.
Yeah.
But with the help of that Armagadillo, might be on the road to a comeback right now. Pathra, on the other hand, bit of a dull draw. It's going to have to be a kill command turn. Unleash the Beast kill command. Bot for 2.
Yeah, I guess I was going to say, is there any reason to keep the kill command because it can go face, but you lose out on the.
Yep. You literally heal them.
Yeah.
And also it puts it in the tank for Zul'jin.
Exactement.
This team now is just no removal from Pathra. That's really not what she's missed because she's had a very strong game so far. But no deadly shot, none of that really in the pool yet, which means this removal gets a little bit more difficult. Although that helps.
And I think it's probably another turn off of Zul'jin.
Oh, yeah.
With how beautifully this mana spends itself.
It's a full clear.
Yeah.
What a sick turn. That draw was amazing, actually.
Pretty sick turn. And you're not ecstatic to just leave an empty board.
I'm ecstatic to get rid of a Tomb Warden, though, that's been buffed, because those are hard minions to kill off. 1 card, 2 5/8 taunts. I'm surprised there's much pause here.
Do you want to see more pause on this play?
Yeah.
Spring Paw.
Yeah. I'm glad we made that link together. It's just, I don't think Zul'jin ever does enough. But if Zul'jin doesn't do enough, you play every other card in your hand and clear the board, right?
Yeah.
I guess there's thoughts of hero power versus X question mark, but you have a second swing of bow, right?
Yeah.
And there's also an animal companion in the pool for Zul'jin, and a kill command. So this sometimes sets up lethal by doing this turn. Yeah, it just has to happen. I think Pathra's just taking the time over.
Yeah,
I think it's fine. It was just, that's the only thing I could even consider thinking about, was whether you actually want to press hero power instead and just take some damage, but...
Yeah. I mean, it's just been, like, perfectly solid curving out gameplay of a group. I think everything we've seen from Pathra so far.
I think the only turn was the hyena turn.
Did you not want to see the hyenas?
It's not that, I think... Well, maybe.
It was like that, or Unleash the Beast, which is just pretty underwhelming.
It was Unleash the Beast and trade the Houndmaster, but you keep a 7/7 on the board. And I guess it's whether having one 7/7 is better than... And it's a small thing, but like I said, it's the only turn I was thinking about.
Yeah.
That was different.
This turn, extremely easy though. It's the big axe.
It's really bad though, isn't it? Like, unless both of these minions die...
Oh.
Not those two, the other two. Unless both of these minions die, this is actually quite bad.
It was looking so good until then.
Because blitzchung can just attack in and replay 3/6. Because he knows it's freezing trap.
That's true. Oof.
Well, now he can attack in Harrison and shield block, which might actually do more.
He wants to clear that, right? He wants to clear up these minions. You can't be tanking it at this point.
Huh? Or he could just not attack in, play Harrison block.
I mean, it looks like he's setting up for Warpath Dynamatic Hero Power.
Okay.
Which, yeah, again,
it's fine. There's loads of stuff blitzchung could have done this turn, which I think most of the options he has, as long as he didn't just do something really stupid, like actually progress him very well through the game and do slightly different things.
Pathra, I think, has to start thinking very, very carefully about just launching that hero power face every single turn from here on in, because clearly she's afraid of just starting to die from the pressure from blitzchung, but she has to be expected to be outbalanced now.
Snipe hero power. She has to, if she wants hero power or master contender. What Pathra has to do now, the problem here is
clear the board.
But I don't. The problem here, Pathra needs a secret to be procced so she can swing a weapon.
Yeah.
That's either snipe or master contender. But snipe, I think, guarantees the secret gets procced.
Pretty much.
Because if blitzchung doesn't play a minion, sweet!
Yeah.
Like, that's good. So I think this is the play, because you need secrets to proc so this weapon does something more. Because Pathra needs some good value out of the cards now to actually finish out this game.
Yeah, I like this too.
Unfortunately, I imagine that Grimace now is Tomb Warden number 3. He's going to come down onto the board. Or can come down onto the board. Going to test for snipe first, I guess, with this Rover, was the plan. It kind of gets 2 armor if it is snipe.
I think that's fine. Yeah, like, he doesn't need... it's close, actually, because the ways that he loses, there's 2 ways that blitzchung loses. It's one, just damage through to face if he doesn't take the precautions.
Right. And
the second is Pathra getting the high-value cards one after the other. If he's just throwing away minions like this, maybe he's more likely to lose to the just pressure, to the value cards. But yeah.
Is this going to be a 5 to face, though? This Wyvern doesn't die, right?
Does now.
Okay.
It was
and
allowing.
People cut Omega Devastator. But okay, it do, so yeah, Otherwise, it would have been armor gain instead, but then it would have kind of been negated. So that could have gone a little bit wrong, or a little bit more wrong for blitzchung there. But he did clean this up, and now here come the part of the deck you don't want to draw as Hunter in this spot.
Yeah, this is just looking miserable for Pathra. It was such a strong mid game for her. She was just so close to killing blitzchung there. But it just looks like he's stabilized.
It's just Armagadillo into 3 Tomb Wardens. Not all buffed, of course, but 3 Tomb Wardens. Oh, sorry, the third one didn't even get played. Apologies. But the Tomb Warden into Tomb Warden is so hard for Hunter to deal with.
Too much.
Did you say too much?
I did say
so funny, Darren. Oh, wait, emotional barrier. Nice joke. Scrub. You see the difference a Deadly Shot makes, though, right? And you could argue, oh, it doesn't do much against Tomb Warden, but clearing one off and then Zul'jin, having it in the pool again is massive. It's so much.
And honestly, I think it's horrible to admit you have to do it. I think Pathra makes the correct play here in hero powering a minion instead of base. Like, I just don't think she ever wins the damage base. 7 hero powers to face, or like potentially infinite, right? If you include in all the armor gain.
Yeah,
she
has to win
backboard.
Yeah.
She has to.
The second Pathra starts just going face with hero power, blitzchung just presses his hero power every turn, and then they cancel each other out.
Yeah, that's gonna be game.
I think so.
Do you know what that means in troll language?
No. I'm not sure if
Is there a troll language in World of
Warcraft? Yeah. There's languages for every race, I guess, except human, because humans speak Common, which is the language that they can all speak as well. It's how, like, one of the few words I know is because everyone knows it's kek.
I was gonna say kek is the one word I know.
It's just lol. I say words, but lol in Orcish.
By the way, mods, you're welcome. That one's on us.
Yeah, me and Darren specifically made it, and the emote too. Okay, so although if we wind back a turn or so, although it looked grim, there were cards and outcomes that would allow Pathra to win this matchup. But the draw from the Harrison, which included the Omega Devastator, and having the Tomb Warden with an assist, that locks it outright. But just because, like, post Zul'jin not doing anything insane doesn't mean that the game's out of nowhere. There's still, like, Mark Shot to discover spells. There's some other cards that can get some value going. There's obviously, Imagine Subject 9 into all the secrets together, can do some work. But it didn't come soon enough, and blitzchung just turned up the heat so quickly. But again, it just comes back to just, without being so far ahead on board, like Dillo into clear, into Tomb Warden. The issue was that clear turn.
And honestly, just the fact that Pathra hadn't conceded until now, even when it was so clearly over, just indicates how desperate she is to win this game. This is the point where, even though she knew she knew that game was probably over like 4 turns.
You concede on ladder.
Exactly. I would have been well out of that game. She is just, I think, taking the mindset of not conceding until I'm dead on board, as a lot of players do when they are going for tournament gameplay. Exactly. You've got the time, and you got to feel for one game away, it feels like now, from potentially just relegating.
Exactly. And if you were, 0.1% chance of winning a game, especially when you're in this spot that Pathra's in, it's more than reasonable to play it out, regardless of how long it may or may not take. But that was just game number 1 between Pathra and blitzchung. We're going to take a quick break while we get ready for game number 2. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with some more Hearthstone.
That's the extra damage.
That is the extra damage. That is the extra damage. Power shield is lethal.
Did he not get it off?
Okay, yeah, second digit. Re-injuring in the next set. Re-injuring in the next set is the same damage. Oh, no! No!
He didn't get the attack off. He's Tori, he doesn't know what to do.
Sure.
That's one way to end it.
Fine. I guess that works too.
Pretty long-winded way to go about finding the end of this game.
For 3 chance.
Yes.
Oh. Hey. I choose death. Oh, what is Hearthstone, Derek?
Absolute god, Alutemu, hands up to the sky.
Oh, the Shaxi, I think when he plays it, will need to have an answer to.
Whoa! He's got the answer.
Yeah, because he can.
Warpath trade and then the rush or whatever. That's game.
Do you like Zoo TJ?
I love Zoo a lot. Practice
Thank you. I love you too.
Hiya. Sorry, lethal.
No! That's the nightmare. But he just loses now. He's got 8 arms, you just thwacked all of them once. I've got 2 left.
What a way to go out. Unfortunate.
Stand up on the casting chair with me, TJ.
Nope.
Stand!
I think it would collapse.
Casters, rise up. No, wait. There's much more important things at stake, people. Come on!
Results. They're a lovely thing.
25.
Oh my gosh. No way.
大家好，我是陈太不要，英文 ID 是 blitzchung， 住在台湾。抱抱博士吧，因为他天生技蛮强的，我觉得好像都已经被发掘了，所以基本上之后应该都那些卡了。第一赛季哦，第一赛季应该算还可以吧，就赢的跟输的都没比较多，就平7胜7败，还算可以接受。因为下个赛季跟上次的赛季不同，要准备4套牌。不过如果准备3套针对同一副的，他就不要上那副就可以了。所以还要再想一下要怎么准备。因为有换组啊，这次过来的好像都韩国选手，所以大家实力都蛮强的吧，就要更努力准备一点。就新的赛季应该会比较好，因为之前只要准备1套牌，然后备牌5张，就只要准备40张就可以了。想要准备4套，所以会比较花时间吧。不过现在没有在打炉石的话，我应该去工作了吧，所以炉石现在就是我全部吧，因为现在就要尽力打好大师赛。
We are back and ready to continue our series versus Pathra and blitzchung. Pathra currently 0-1 down versus blitzchung. Blitzchung looking to really progress in his sort of, I guess, safety net of a division. As he's currently 1 win ahead of Pathra before this match started.
Yep.
If he wins this, then he's going to be 2 wins ahead, which is all of next weekend, the difference of games. So even if blitzchung lost next weekend, if he did well here, then Pathra would also need to win combined with that, so it makes him much safer. But it's not over yet. It's only 1 game in, so we could see anything change. Pathra could easily come back and take the series instead and actually fight back and climb to an equal footing with blitzchung.
That's right, especially as if they do climb back to an equal footing, Pathra has the advantage. She will have beaten blitzchung twice in the head-to-head, which means should they end up on an equal amount of wins at the end of the group stage of Hearthstone Grandmasters, Pathra will be the player ahead, and blitzchung will be the player eliminated or relegated out of Grandmasters. So for both players, even though blitzchung's in the lead, it's less than it may seem.
Yes, and as we go into game number 2, Priest Mirror, I'll just quickly break down tiebreakers for you. Tiebreaker 1, which is the first one it goes to, is straight up head-to-head. If someone has gone 2-0 versus someone, they have advantage, done. They end up over them in division.
Yeah.
If not, if they've gone 1-on-1, then what happens is they basically add up the scores of all the players they have beaten.
Yes.
And then whoever has the highest score has advantage, and so on and so on. We saw a lot of tiebreaker 2, which is the adding up of scores, last season.
We did.
Because if there is more than 1, or if there's more than 2 people in cause for tiebreaks on the same score, then it skips tiebreaker 1, because you cannot do that, because it could be a never-ending circle.
Yeah.
But anyway, we can talk a lot more about that maybe towards the end of this weekend, and obviously we will go in depth next weekend. But for now, this is Spicy Priest Mirror.
The mulligan, obviously incredibly important in the Priest Mirror, and only one card, I believe, was kept in the silence for Pathra. I agree with it. It's one of the highest mulligan win rate cards in specifically the Priest Mirror. Generally a very weak card, but in this instance, looking to be very, very strong. Speaking of very, very strong, how does blitzchung best abuse this situation? It is a nutty starting hand.
Yeah, so my question is, this turns, this is one of the more obvious Priest turns, right? Just play Tol'vir, it never dies, and you Blade Master Circle guaranteed. Because it never dies.
Fair enough. I guess the only consideration is whether you circle now, but you can just circle next turn and play Inner Fire if you have to divert from
Right, exactly. Yeah,
it's just easy. Yeah. And it's not only easy, it's powerful.
Yep. You only give yourself more opportunities to gain and no real loss this turn.
Man, it feels so rough for Pathra to have this come down in this series to potentially a Priest Mirror should she end up losing when blitzchung just has the absolute nuts. The absolute nuts.
And Pathra just...
You don't beat this.
Doesn't, right? There's just not a lot. Oh, silence on the cleric. I can understand this play just because one thing Pathra has control of is to whether this cleric draws cards.
That's fair.
And I think this is a pretty good play here.
It's a big deal.
You just say, well, no, you can't draw cards. But now, Derek is literally, I don't know what, bending over, flipping himself back. I don't know. He's moving around a lot behind his desk.
I've ascended to a higher plane of being after seeing blitzchung's priest hand.
Oh, wow.
Call me Glorptron now. Who is Derek?
Glorptron Brown?
Glorptron Brown
is
pleased by this hand. Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, I just don't...
This is just nothing. Pathra just loses, and there's... I mean, this is just a nothing game. There was nothing she could have done. Unless she's playing 2 silences in the list.
The problem is, as well, is... Okay. I can't even... You could say, oh, well, if silence was saved... There could be an answer.
I think it was right.
Like,
I think it was right.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I actually think the silence on the cleric was what was required. And if excuse me as I'm choking, if this is the outcome, then you have to just be like, well, so be it. Because if Pathra didn't silence the cleric, blitzchung draws 2 additional cards, and then the game just, I think, snowballs maybe just as hard.
It's just game. It only reses cleric. There's no taunts. Patra's lost. And it feels absolutely terrible. The first series, you know, you could argue about some of the plays she made. Maybe she should have gone more, I don't know, prioritized hero powers more instead of other stuff. But in this game, it was just nothing. Pathra down to 2 and 9 is looking to be pretty much on the brink of elimination now.
Yeah, it's as close as it's going to get. Bear in mind, just so you guys watching at home are aware, after this game for these players, there is 3 more matches that can happen. Which means there is an outcome where Pathra wins 3, blitzchung loses 3, and then it's up in the air. So Pathra is not relegated. It's just obviously being at the bottom and losing more does not help, right? That is just the case.
Absolutely.
Before people get the takeaway of Patra's relegated now.
Yes.
Not the case at all. There is still a chance that she comes back, of course, and we have to progress through this weekend and next weekend to find out exactly what's going on. But every single match that gets played out, revolving around these 2 players specifically, especially because Frosty got a win, pushes him a bit further away, is going to be important for who gets relegated out of Division B.
That's right. And obviously, if Pathra does end up becoming equal, tiebreaker 1 will be even because they have both now won 1, lost 1 against each other. But tiebreaker 2 will have to figure out. I get the feeling blitzchung might be in the lead because he's defeated some strong opponents, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Not even going to try and count that up right now because it just wouldn't work. I believe blitzchung is hanging around for an interview though, and I believe you are ready. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, so congratulations on that match. Do you just want to just tell me how you were feeling during the match, right? Because obviously that second game was very quick, but in general, I feel like there's a lot of pressure on you and Pathra in this specific match because you're against each other and both being near the bottom of Division B.
The game 1 was very stressful. So what I was thinking,
was she kept one card on his starting hand and he didn't play it till turn 5, and it turns out it was Unleash the Beast. And I feel like I feel like my turn 4 play was wrong. Like calling out a minion and then into a baited arrow into a Houndmaster, which gave me lots of pressure.
Right.
So you think maybe Warpath was better there?
Yes.
Okay.
And what I was thinking was playing the minion turn 5 is bad into his turn 6 Unleash the Beast, and
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just gives more options overall. There's no real point asking too much about the priest game. It was one of the most insane opening hands I think I've ever seen in a mirror. It just won the game. But how are you feeling with your lineup overall now that, after submission, you obviously see your opponent's lineups? Are you feeling confident for the rest of the weekend and your matches overall?
Yes, I'm pretty confident with my lineup. I'm just bringing pretty similar lineups over and over again.
Is there any reason you brought, or do you want to explain to us? If you don't, because it might reveal things, that's fine. But explain to us why you brought Zoo instead of Hunter, which we see you and a lot of other people normally bring in Hunter.
Because I was expecting Tom, my second opponent this week, to bring Holy Rock Paladin.
Okay.
And in fact, I think Sulok at the moment is slightly favored against Holy Rock Paladin, especially when Su go first. It's really tough for Paladin.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. I guess overall I just want to say congratulations on getting a win there. That was a very stressful game. But is there anything else that you want to say at this point, just now that it's obviously not your fault, but now that Pathra is down to basically a relegation point, is there anything that you want to say at this point?
Man, I feel guilty for game 2, but that's standard.
That's the game.
It's the way it goes.
Very standard Prismira.
Yeah, don't feel bad about that one. But we'll let you go, and we'll see you later this weekend playing against Tom. Good luck.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah, I can understand blitzchung. Like, there's a lot of respect between the players in Grandmasters.
Right.
And when you just get I'll describe it, and I think I'm not far off, as an auto win.
Yeah.
Because that game,
it was
not only was the hand powerful, it wasn't difficult to play. Right? You just went, well, this makes sense.
Yeah.
Go and play. And there was nothing. Patra's hand was not up to par, so that she couldn't even combat it in any way. But that's the game, and that's across card games. Full stop.
Yeah.
Sometimes your hand is sick, theirs isn't, and it's say an aggro matchup where you just get the head start and the game ends. That's just how it is. So blitzchung, definitely don't feel too bad, mate. That's just the way the game goes.
It's just the nature of these competitors. Obviously, primarily, number one, they want to win. But number two, they want good games. They don't want to just have their opponent be demolished and not be allowed to play Hearthstone. You see it all the time in these interviews when the players have a lot of respect for each other. They want to have a good game where they actually trump their opponent in decision-making rather than just getting a hand like that one. But I think blitzchung will definitely take it.
Oh yeah. I mean, if I was in his spot, I wouldn't really care how I won, as long as it was within the rules, of course. If I just got
good
wins, if I just got good wins, then I'd be happy. But anyway, let's move on to our last match